When I was in law school, I was in the music business, and I was working for a record label, and I was 1,000% sure that I was going to pursue a career in law based in the music industry. I was working for Chris Blackwell, who started Island Records, Bob Marley and U2, and he had started a new record label. And I was working for him, and it sort of dawned on me that the music industry as an attorney really is boring. And you've got these big names on these contracts, but at the end of the day, they are just contracts. And my mother always told me that my best talent resided in talking, using my powers of persuasion. So my father and my uncle, they had a law firm in New York, and they were sort of the pioneers in the state of New York doing medical malpractice cases. They were literally like the first guys to start bringing these cases. And I took the bar exam, and I said to my father, I said, why don't you give me a shot over at your law firm? And he was like, well, I thought you were in the music business. What is all that about? I'm like, I know, but give me a shot. And besides my uncle, he had 4 other partners. And the other partners were like, that is a horrible idea. I don't want him here. And basically my father was like, too bad. We're going to give him a shot. So I start out in my dad's office, and they gave me like this, it was pretty much a closet in the back next to this air conditioning. It was like constantly. It was just brutal. And I'm like, yeah.
Did the partners put you in the closet?
The partners put me in the closet. They were like, you'll stay here and you'll like it. And then to make, they clearly wanted to get me out as soon as possible. So in our world as trial lawyers, you don't really try your own case for at least a year, normally 2 years, maybe 3 years into the practice. And I was there for about 12 weeks. And I still remember the managing attorney carrying these big boxes all the way down the hall, past the air conditioning unit. And he dumps them on my desk. And he says, you're trying this case in 3 weeks. Nobody wants to try it. Good luck. With like this nasty smirk on his face. And I was like, wow, okay. I don't even know the first thing about trying a case. And you never forget your first case. I remember minute details about it. But the general premise of the case, it was a negligent security case, and it was a guy in the Bronx who bagged groceries, and he would come home every day to his apartment on Elder Avenue in the Bronx. I'm going back, I'm now 2003, right? And so he would come home every day, this guy, and the locks to the front door of his building were broken, and he would get robbed in his building for his money that he earned bagging groceries. And in this one particular day, he came home from work and he went into his building and they beat him with a baseball bat. And we brought a lawsuit against the owner of the building. And I tried the case. I still remember the judge, who's now an appellate division judge. And I remember her during the trial pulling me into her chambers and saying, "You don't know what the heck you are doing here." And I said, "You are right, Judge. This is my first trial. Don't tell anyone." And the jury on that trial gave me a $3.95 million verdict. And that was when I was like, I got the bug, so to speak. I was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. I think I'm going to stick around here. And the trial was like, there's nothing like a trial because it's so emotional and it's so exciting and so depressing, and it could be all of those feelings, and that could be just one afternoon, literally. And it's like brings out your competitive spirit, and you just want to crush the other side. And it was like pretty much everything that I thought I was going to find in the music business, but yet I found it doing personal injury trials, where I, mind you, I had spent definitely my law school years, definitely my college years, and most likely my high school years, saying, I will never, ever do what my father does,
Yeah.
And here I am talking to you 22 years later with, over 100 verdicts under my belt. And that's the story of me wanting to, from the, I guess, back door, becoming a trial attorney.
Did you love music? Like, were you a musician in high
I
school?
love music. I still love music. And I was throwing these parties in Manhattan, at Joe's Pub down on Lafayette Street, where I was booking bands.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was, I guess, like a little club promoter in high school, and this was sort of the continuation of that. And it was amazing. I booked great bands, some bands that have gone on to do great things, bands like The Strokes and All American Rejects, and, these bands that really went on, and they were just, New York City grimy type bands that were trying to get big, and I was booking them. And then I was going to law school, and then I was working in the legal division of, it's called Palm Pictures, Chris Blackwell's record label. So it all sort of jived into where I thought I was going to go. And now I just listen to music while I'm working on my trials.
Mm-hmm. And the realization that you didn't want to be a contract attorney.
Yeah, I was like, dude, this sucks. Literally, I was like, I'm like, okay, it's cool that it says, Bob Marley Publishing on the front of the contract, but it's just contracts.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't in A&R, I wasn't booking the bands, I wasn't, and and then the legal world in the music business then eventually just became dealing with copyright, and
Yeah.
then
Napster.
Exactly. It was right around the time of Napster, and they were trying, they being the record labels, were trying to figure out how they were going to stay profitable in a world of Napster. And I think they're still trying to figure it out.
I heard someone bought Napster recently.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I remember Napster so well. I was like, this is incredible.
It's hard to remember, the time. I mean, that was kind of at the birth of social media, but more MySpace. You know what I mean? Instagram, TikTok wasn't there.
No.
The streaming music wasn't there. The labels were desperately trying to hold on to their CD sales.
Yeah.
And now it's completely turned around.
And I mean, geez, it's like the elevation from Napster to like Spotify is just mind-boggling to me. So,
It's almost like if you stayed a contract attorney compared to, being a trial lawyer.
Totally. And who knows where my world would have ended up. I most likely would not have had my own law firm as I do now, and that's also a pretty cool story as to what caused me to leave my father's office